I greet you in the words of Assalamu alaikum. This is Brother Clifton Raheem Bradley, and you're looking at the Underground Railroad. Yeah, I'm in Chicago, not New York. But my granddaddy, once he saw those lights in New York, I can't tell y'all the whole story. But today, you know what, I'm honored. I have Ace. You know, it's a guy, you know, we've been knowing each other for a while. And you know what? Usually if I have a show, I'm going, hey, you know, I'm still waiting to get invited on this show. I know you say I shouldn't have said that, but Assalamu alaikum.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
But you know what? First of all, his name is Ace, and you know what? He is a tremendous producer at Can Television, and he is a graduate alum from his alumni, if I'm saying it correctly, is Columbia School of Broadcasting. So, brother, make an introduction of yourself, brother.
Okay, for those who may not know, my name is Mikal-Ace Ngubani. Actually, that's a hyphenated name. It's Mikal-Ace Ngubani, but for some reason, a lot of people have a problem with the full pronunciation of my name. Some people call it. Some people refer to it as having a lazy tongue. You know, they can say Vodoliak, they can say Rostenkowski, they can say Tom Jonovich, but when it comes to saying something like Ngubani or whatever, an Africanized name, all of a sudden they seem to get stuck at the well in pronouncing that name. So it's no problem. But
see, y'all, that's his way of talking about me.
I'm not talking. This is something that happens all the time.
Wouldn't be you if you didn't do. Come on.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. But it happens all the time in the course of just everyday discourse of people and whatnot. But anyway, my name is Mikal-Ace Ngubani. To get back to what we were talking about, I fancy myself as a writer, playwright, screenwriter, media personality, and ex-thug. I don't know if all of that makes any sense or whatever, but also an ex-thug on top of it as well.
You know what? I get along with Ace. Ace is a good guy.
Yes, sir.
Hey, but you know what? But you know what? He's an alpha male, and you know what? And he lets you know that, and I respect where he's coming from, and that's all I'll say. But I'm the brother that where, you know what, people ain't gonna do no more than they let you do. But Ace is a good guy, in my opinion.
Well, thank you, brother.
Hey, so I want to ask you, Ace.
Yes, sir.
The Democratic Party, the people of color go out and vote almost automatically, consistently for the Democratic Party, and I think that the Democratic Party has a tendency to take people of color for granted once their votes are cast. Do you agree with that?
You know, when we talk politics, there's different types of politically involved people. There are people who know the history of what they're dealing with, history of the parties, the various parties and whatnot. Like, for example, the Democratic Party wasn't always the favorite party of black people in general and whatnot. In fact, Abraham Lincoln and all of his, like, those people were all Republicans, and all of the racists or redneck racists, they were all Democrats in those days, up until Roosevelt, I believe it was, and Kennedy. And that's when we kind of switched our allegiance over from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party, because a lot of so-called liberals began trying to pass themselves off as liberals within the I think it started, well, I'm not going to say it started with Johnson after the Kennedy assassination, but some people say that. But anyway, so I'm saying that to say that when you know the history of our political circumstances and the things that we've been involved with, that has a lot to do with your decision-making processes. Now, there's a movement afloat right now today where people are demanding that instead of just voting our traditional favorite line of preferences and whatnot politically, we're asking now that we be given something more for our particular vote other than just being taken for granted, which is what we've been done. And we know now, a lot of us know now that the fact that we have been taken for granted so long that they don't even have to offer us any anymore. They don't have to make any concessions to us anymore. They can automatically assume that they will get the Democratic vote.
That statement
Yes, sir.
With that statement, do you think that the individual should start to examine the Republican Party?
Well, in my case, if I may be honest with you, brother man, I am somewhat, in fact, not somewhat, but I am apolitical. I believe that both parties are both wings of the same bird. I don't, I don't believe that we have any documented proof or evidence to support any one of them being any more beneficial to us as a people than those of the past. So, but like I said before, there's a new trend of thought that's being bandied about now.
I'm listening.
Where people are asking for something for their money.
I'm listening.
And so now we're learning we're training ourselves on how to vote as a united bloc. Where when you vote as a united bloc, you're talking about candidates who can propose and offer something to you as a massive bloc, more so than just on an individualized basis, and whether that might be beneficial to a few people who are just trying to line their pockets along the way. So we're a lot more sophisticated, a lot more knowledgeable than we have been in the past.
I see that the vote, when you make that statement, that's a profound statement. But the voter turnout in the African American community in Chicago, where we live, is very low. So therefore, can you elaborate on that? Because a lot of people feel that the politicians are insensitive towards the needs of the people, and they have just said the hell with it.
Do you remember one of the lines that Trump used when he was running?
Make America great again?
No, I'm not talking about that line. He said to black people, he spoke out to black people, he said, why not take a chance on me? What do you got to lose? You ain't got nothing up until now. You haven't gained anything. So, I mean, why not take a chance on me? What have you got to lose? I'm quoting him verbatim. That's what he said. What do you got to lose? And it kind of, as crazy as it sounded, it kind of made sense. I mean, we've gotten nothing. I mean, we've been on the short end of any type of benefits that could affect us from a socio-economical standpoint. We've always been at the bottom of the totem pole, even when they start talking about, right now on the table they talk about reparations, who's entitled to reparations, who's not entitled to reparations. And none of these people who are trying to ride that particular program or that horse, so to speak, a lot of them have no issue. They got no dog in this fight. And the only people who really have a dog in this issue of reparations and things like that are those people who are directly descended from African enslavement. And anybody else, I mean, anybody else, like I said before, has no dog in this fight. The homosexuals.
I don't even want to.
Yeah, I know. We can't even broach the subject and when it is so sensitive and whatnot. But there are a lot of people who are trying to hop on that particular bandwagon of reparations who I think don't have an issue to really a leg to stand on.
Okay, let me say something about. He's not saying anything bad about homosexuals.
And I'm not speaking for you.
Okay.
I'm speaking for myself.
Okay.
I'm only speaking for myself.
My question is, when we talk about the Republican Party, I'm asking you about the Republican Party, and there's talk that Martin Luther King said that I had a dream, and about equality and all that. Do you think it is time to eliminate the quota system, whereas I had a certain amount of Latinos and blacks into the college, a certain amount of blacks and
haven't
Latinos
they done that?
on the job. I'm talking about, is it time to legally eliminate it? Because
haven't they done that with the elimination of affirmative action? But go ahead.
No, they have not. Okay. It has not legally been done, because if you get a government contract, you have to have a certain amount of Latinos and a certain amount of Hispanics. So that has not been done, not legally. But is it time to eliminate the quota system?
Well,
as Martin Luther King said, I had a dream. Has that dream come to? Well, let me let you.
Well, first of all, when you talk about, again, see, I look at everything, I have a tendency to look at things from a historical perspective.
No, that's why you're on the show.
And I'm a history buff. Okay, and I'm a history buff. So I think that our understanding and our interpretation of Martin Luther King, what he stood for, has to be updated. Now, one of the things that I could have brought on the show had I been able to prepare for it, I could have given you a quote where, just as Martin Luther King is saying that he have a dream, he changed that statement just before he died. And the statement, he said it, I quoted him, I have him making this particular statement where he says that that dream I once had has turned into a nightmare. I have that. In his words, his tone, and it's his, but you don't hear that part of the speech. And I don't know how well versed some people might be on Martin Luther King, but he did a couple of lectures a few years ago, man, that nobody talks about. One of them was called, I would love for people who study this kind of thing. Now look it up. Look up Martin Luther King's The Other America, when he goes to Europe. And he talks about what he left behind in the United States and exactly what our plight was as a people. He talks to Europe. It's called The Other America. They never play that. You never hear that publicized.
You're saying it is not time to eliminate the quota system at all. No.
Well, going back to what you said, I think that every step in that direction is for positive good, and it advances our cause. I don't think anything is regressive. Anything has set us back, but I do think that in certain areas we become somewhat politically stagnant or socially stagnant, and it doesn't help that our numbers, the things that we're involved in socially, politically, and whatnot are not in our favor too much anymore, as much as they should be, under the circumstances of what we've been through.
How will the people that are within the digital divide live in a culture where there's AI technology that has run rapid globally? How will they deal with it? Digital divide, for people that don't know, are people that they have no knowledge whatsoever about computers and all this technology. How will people fare that are within the digital divide in this global economy?
Are you saying people in general, or are we talking about certain?
Globally.
Globally, but are we talking about certain people who identify with that of the majority cultures?
Yes.
Or we're talking about people who are marginalized and
Some people that are already marginalized. How will they deal with
those of us who are already living on the peripheral of society, which a lot of us are, we're not even included in this particular societal order anyway.
AI technology.
They got a word for it. They call it socially invisible. I mean, they know you're there, but I mean, you're not really given very much status and taken into high account. But they know that you're there. It's kind of like this one little category that they got nowadays called, there's all types of poor people. There's poor. Then there's another entirely different category of poor. You know what that is? That's the working poor. Yeah. That's the people who work every day and they're still poor, living below the poverty lines and they work every day. Mm-hmm. So you got the working poor, but there's another class I want to speak about before we end this subject. There's another class that we have to really concern ourselves with and worry about, and that's called the permanent poor. That's the people who don't have anything, can't expect to have anything, and won't ever have anything. They exist. They're real.
Let me tell.
Like ETs.
Okay, recap. for people that are looking at this broadcast on social media, I would like for you to tap down at the bottom and share this on YouTube and Facebook and all of these social media platforms, because this helps the platform to grow.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to make an attempt to get Brother Ace on my podcast platform.
By all means.
We can go further into depth. But the thing is, when we talk about this society, I want to ask you about this border crisis. There are people that are coming into the United States right now across the Mexican and Texas border right now. And there are sanctuary cities. Do you think it is right for people that are coming into the country illegally to go to a sanctuary city and get all of the rights and entitlements as though somebody that had been there all their lives? Chicago is a sanctuary city.
I know, but again, like I mentioned to you before, I tend to look at everything from a historical perspective.
Okay.
And in doing so, you have to take into these people that they're now calling illegal aliens, immigrants and things like that. You got to remember that this was their country in the beginning. So really, who is the invaders or the real aliens and whatnot, and people who have a right to this country, because Mexico used to be a part of this particular country, and South America and all these other places.
Are you saying there should be no borders? Yeah.
I'm not saying. I'm saying that.
asking.
I'm saying that something should be done, and some kind of acknowledgement should be given to the fact that these are the original indigenous people of this particular land, who have been marginalized, who've been misnamed, who've been misidentified. I mean, because when you look at things like you calling people Mexicans, why, how did they get to become Mexicans in the first? Who were they before they became Mexicans? They were the natives of this land, and they were Native Americans. So before Spain and all of them came and imposed their cultures and language on them.
So are you saying in essence that that tax money that has been allocated for citizens that are here legally and was born here that money should be dispersed to people that really shouldn't have any right to it because they follow no protocol to come into the country? They should get that entitlements.
I'm not saying that they should. I'm not saying they should be automatically entitled, but when you take into account certain economical factors, such as the billions of dollars that's been given to Ukraine for what?
Okay.
I understand that we want that Ukraine is considered one of our indirect allies and things like that, but they're de facto allies. They're not even officially a part of NATO. They're not even officially a part of all of the world order. I'm talking about Ukraine, but yet they're being given billions. Can you imagine what those billions of dollars could have actually gone toward? I'll get
to that issue in another point, but I was asking
you were asking about entitlement. You were asking about who's entitled.
See, I'm going to tell y'all something. He's a very smart man. Go ahead. You're a very smart man.
We just, as we say on the corner, we're just kicking the boat.
Okay.
Oh, that's all. Informally.
I'm giving you a compliment. You're a smart man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. But so I'm just saying, so when you look at it, from that particular type of angle, you have to ask yourself about these so-called entitlements and what. And not only that, why is it that other people from other countries and what are more welcome into this country as recently immigrated people from outside of the United States more so than people of color?
So you ain't gonna address that issue. I'll go to the other issue. You know,
the Haitians are not being given any. When they come here, they're not given any entitlements, and all the other third world countries or people of color are not given any entitlements. And they're not even considered for any entitlements when they get if they even make it into the country in the first place without being sent back into shark-infested waters.
Okay. we ain't gonna solve this. You know, one thing I like about you. You're very perceptive and you're very smart, and you're a clever person too. But I'm giving you a compliment. Okay, and you know, Ace, I want to ask you something.
Yes, sir.
The United States of America has a presidential election coming up that will affect the future of the United States as we lose ground military-wise to China. Okay. Who do you think that the United States, who would be the best steward for the United States of America in the presidential election? Donald Trump or Joe Biden? Who would America be safer under, in your opinion?
I'm kind of like, I'm gonna give you a Malcolm X kind of a response. If Malcolm were here, he would say that it's probably equivalent to having a choice between the wolf and the coyote. Okay.
Okay.
If you want to call it, if I may call it that, it's like having a choice between the wolf and coyote. I don't see either of those particular sources as being good prospects for having our well-being. I'm talking about we as African descended people, which is what we are, African descended people. For those who don't really identify with the African thing or think that they're anything other than African descended, to them I just simply like to say, if you don't identify with being African descended, can I ask you simply one question, all of you? If you're not African descended, then who are you?
But realistically, it's going to be one out of the other, though. Is it not?
It's no choice unless they form an independent party and vote.
But
yeah,
I'm saying, who would be the better steward in making? In having the United States safer for militaries that might want to exploit the United States for their weaknesses.
Who has been the most aggressive military, combative, warlike force in the world? And I mean, when you take into account all of the countries of the world, ethnicities and countries of the world, who has been the most militant? Who has led the way in most of your military conflicts and oppressions and colonizations?
You're telling me you're not going to choose Donald Trump or Joe Biden?
It's like having a choice between the wolf and the coyote.
One of them are going to win.
Oh yeah, somebody's going to win.
One of them. Out of one of them is under one of them. You know what?
Who do you like, brother? Who do you like?
Oh man, you know what I'm gonna say? I'm not gonna vote for that person, but I think that the United States would be safer by military-wise with Donald Trump. But I'm not gonna vote for him, no.
Okay.
I think so.
You think we got any?
I think so.
You think we got any cloning going on here? Any cloning been going on here, which is what
now you taking over the interview, but this is what you do.
No, but that's what they're saying out on the block. That's what they're saying out on the block. The big question on the block is whether or not these people are clones or really representing what they claim to be representing.
Is it real or Memorex? I don't know.
That's right. Yes. I mean, I know it's a sensitive subject.
I feel since you're going to turn around and turn the questions on me.
Go ahead, boy.
But you know what? I think that me and him do this all the time, okay? But you know what? I think that the United States is safer under Donald Trump, but I'm not going to vote for him.
What about the nuclear?
Because you know why?
What about the nuclear threat?
You know why? Because I think, I'm not going to say what
you didn't say about the nuclear threat? Huh? All these people got nuclear weapons now that didn't have them before? That little man over there in North Korea is telling the United States to take a hike.
See, I'm going to tell y'all something. When I tell y'all something, what he's doing is he's hijacking the show.
Oh!
Right, and you know what? And I got to turn around and I got to give it a break.
You always say, every time I come on your show, you do that to me. Every time I come on your show, this is what happens, man. You know what? From now on, I'm just going to sit here with my zipper in my mouth, and I'm only going to speak what I'm supposed to.
Can I say something? If you didn't do that, you wouldn't be you.
My man, I got you.
You wouldn't be you.
Well, I guess we both need to be able to be heard. I think we both feel that we should be heard. You know.
But recently, but Chicago is going to have a new mayor, and I think that we're going to get a Latino mayor. I think Chuy Garcia is going to be our next mayor.
What gender?
And who do you think? I think he'd be the first Latino mayor because there are too many people of color already in the race. And that voting block, as you said, you alluded to about the black community that vote as a block.
Yeah.
I think they're going to vote as a block. What do you think about that? And who do you think will end up being the mayor of Chicago in 2024?
Well, like I said, I think it would behoove the people, all of the people for that matter, to go to the history books, the records, and see what these people have done up to this particular point. That makes them qualified or deserving of the community's support.
Lori Lightfoot is the current mayor of Chicago, but go ahead.
I kind of like, if you want my personal opinion, you know who I like. I like Willie Wilson. Willie Wilson, I know what you're saying, but no politician has ever given me free gas, free money, or whatever. I'm talking about in the history of political endeavors in this country, no politician has ever extended that out to the black community as much as Willie Wilson. You got to
give, if you know him, give me an interview. I'd like to interview him if you know him.
Well, you would like to talk with Willie Wilson along those lines?
I'm not. First of all, see how I just stuttered.
Yeah.
His speaking, you know what? He doesn't have great oratorial skills.
What other politician has given you some money, has ever given you money and gas and things like that in the course of running for office?
What was his ulterior motive?
What has anybody else ever given us?
I said, what was his ulterior motive?
His ulterior motive is to win support and to show that he doesn't mind. It doesn't mind concerning himself with the well-being of the community.
We have 5 minutes.
Who else has done that? What other mayor? None of them have given you a Louis, a pecan. Okay.
Let me ask you something, Ace.
Did you go over there and get that free gas?
I got to think about that. Ace, Ace, we running down on time. First of all, people that's looking at this on YouTube, press the subscribe button, press the share button, share it with all your social networks.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm being animated now.
Yeah,
It's okay.
yes, sir.
But Ace, what should we look for with your video production projects in 2024 and the future?
Well, I'm an Afrocentric, and I have a program that I've created that I call Afroclectics, and that means that we're only going to concern ourselves with things that would be of importance and whatnot to those of us African descendants and whatnot who are concerned about our well-being as a people, as a mass of people and whatnot. So my program, Afroclectics, is going to consist of various stage plays.
By the
You know,
way,
I'm a writer.
can I say something? By the way, I'm still waiting to get on your show. But
Well,
go ahead.
I fancy myself as a playwright.
Go ahead, brother.
And a writer, and as a matter of fact, I have some scripts right now that I'm trying to get out here. But I've learned a little something about this business and the nature of dealing with things. You know what that is?
What's that?
You can't be too black.
Oh, that's why I ain't been on the show.
Oh, you can't come across too. If you're too pro-black about any particular thing, there will be forces that will automatically oppose
For
you.
me, power to the people. Assalamu alaikum.
No. But I'm just saying. So that's the avenue. That's the route I intend to take with my endeavors.
Yes.
With my entertainment endeavors. You know, I fancy myself as a playwright. One of my plays has went on stage for 4 or 5 times, called Confessions of a Deadbeat Dad. Mm-hmm. Wasn't talking about myself or you, which I know we're not. You're not.
No.
But I can't say the same.
Damn it, I was glad to pay. I paid child support, damn it, and I gave her extra money.
Really? Damn.
Anything she wanted.
Damn. Okay.
Well, you know what, Ace? You know what? Let me tell the people we're looking at the Underground Railroad television show, and share this on YouTube and Facebook and our podcast. I'm going to have Ace. I'm going to try to schedule something where he can come on our podcast.
Can you ever learn to say my name, Ngubani? Can I ever get that out of you?
And I tell y'all, I told y'all he was going to do this. I told you.
my man. I got
See,
you,
man, that's what I like about him. You know what? I like Ace because you know what? You do exactly where he stands.
Yeah, well, and you need a change. I mean, we need a variety of.
We got 2 minutes left.
Yeah, we need a variety of people who can express various viewpoints and positions.
But you know what? I want y'all to watch the Audrey K show. I want y'all to watch Elm and Company. Look at Mr. Vibes. Look at her brother Mike. I don't know what is Mike Gleason's show name. Look at Mike Gleason show and Ace show.
Be on the lookout for Afroclectics.
See, man, I give them their props. They don't give me nothing. But
Oh,
you know
do you
what?
think so? I don't. That's going to change.
You know what?
This is a new year.
But you know what, though?
Yeah.
I get exactly what Allah wants me to have.
Okay, my man. Okay.
So you know what? There are other shows at Can TV that you should look at, and you know what? And call up down here and get information. Thank you, Ace. Assalamu alaikum.
My man. Thank you for having me on.